Mark Zuckerberg makes his plea for Libra. Chinese President Xi Jinping seizes the opportunity on the blockchain, and the Bitcoin price skyrockets 40% in less than 24 hours. This week on the Kinetic Crypto Show, we send our prayers to the bears.
At the river mouth, the bears catch only the tastiest, most tender salmon. Which is exactly what we at John West want. John West endured the worst to bring you the best.
If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe down below, hit the like button. We're gonna come at you, whenever we can throughout the week with the biggest news in crypto. We're gonna do things like interviews and explainers on crypto concepts, a lot of really fun stuff. And if you wanna get alerts for when the videos come out, just hit subscribe down below. If you haven't already, hit the little bell icon, change it to all notifications, and you'll get buzzed every time we put out a new awesome video like this one. There's a very clear theme to all of the stories this week. If you haven't already been embroiled in the whole cultural debate of the NBA or Activision Blizzard in China over the last few weeks, their support or lack of support for the Hong Kong protests has driven a pretty public ideological wedge online and in public between Western and Eastern ideals on free speech. It's awfully evident that mega corporations in the US are seeing the Chinese market slowly open up to them. And with the world's largest population by country, it's not an opportunity that they want to jeopardize by starting any controversy or by supporting actions contrary to Chinese state beliefs. But in the backdrop of the culture war, and perhaps even in the backdrop of the economic sanctions in the US-China trade war, there's the currency war. The reserve currency, the currency around the world that almost every country acknowledges and accepts for goods and services, is the US dollar. But it really only has been that way since the end of World War II. Before then, we had the British pound as the global reserve currency, the Spanish real, the Dutch gulden. I'm probably saying those incorrectly, but at least I tried. These are dominant global reserve currencies that have generally had a lifespan of around a century, and that has actually sped up with the advent of the Industrial Revolution. We're close to around 80 years of US dollar dominance. And statistically, at least in my lifetime, there's an extremely likely possibility that a new currency becomes the norm for global exchange around the world. And the question that we talk about all the time is, what currency will it be? Well, this week, to me at least, it has been abundantly all but confirmed that it will be a cryptocurrency. Not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and which one will it be? It's going to be one of three, maybe one more likely than the other, but it boils down to this. Will it be a corporate-governed cryptocurrency like Libra, a state-backed cryptocurrency like the one China is planning, or will it be a completely countryless, corporationless, open-source currency like Bitcoin? Let's start on the first one. This week, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, testified in front of Congress about Libra. And if you're not up to speed, I did make a video a while back going over what exactly Libra is, as well as covering the first hearing with Libra Association head David Marcus. Over the last few months, key payment processor partners like MasterCard, Visa, PayPal have all pulled out as founding members of Libra. The full hearing was hours long, but it essentially boiled down to this.
You are going, with all the power of Facebook, to try to create a new currency. You're going to call it the Libra, but you're the person behind it. That's why I call it the Zuck Buck.
As much as Mark Zuckerberg and everyone within Libra has tried, there has been absolutely no way to unlink the public association of Facebook with the Libra cryptocurrency. As much as they claim they are separate entities, that baggage of Facebook's presence and history implicated itself upon any and all of the Libra discussion. Not a single word got through to any of the congressmen and women in those hearings that couldn't tell the difference between a Satoshi and an Ether. And Mark Zuckerberg's defense of Libra, cheap in its total deflection of legitimate scrutiny, but partially truthful, was that if we don't create this, China will.
But I also hope that we get a chance to talk about the risks of not innovating. Because while we debate these issues, the rest of the world isn't waiting. China is moving quickly to launch a similar idea in the coming months. Libra is going to be backed mostly by dollars, and I believe that it will extend America's financial leadership around the world, as well as our democratic values and oversight.
And that brings us to the next fighter in the three-way match.
I was made for this. Yeah, yeah. I was made for this. I was made for this.
Despite outright banning cryptocurrency exchanges in 2017, China is set to launch its own cryptocurrency. This story isn't specifically new, but this week China President Xi Jinping said that blockchain technology has a wide array of applications within China. From financing businesses to mass transit and poverty alleviation, we must clarify the main direction, increase investment, focus on a number of key core technologies, and accelerate the development of blockchain technology and industrial innovation. Earlier this year, China announced plans to launch the DCEP, a domestic stablecoin rival that plans to fully digitalize the Chinese renminbi and replace cash entirely. Meanwhile, in the USA, congressmen still think that the US dollar is just fine the way it is.
The US dollar is an excellent currency as a means of account. It serves all the needs except it's really bad for tax evaders, drug dealers, terrorists.
We saved the best for last. A lot of people are crediting the blockchain endorsement from Xi Jinping this week for what was undoubtedly the biggest short squeeze that Bitcoin has ever experienced. It's pulled back now, and who knows where it will be within the next few hours, days, or weeks. But from October 25th to October 26th, the Bitcoin price skyrocketed over $3,000 and 40% from $7,400 to $10,500. But why? Well, fundamentally, nothing has really changed. I don't believe China endorsing crypto and blockchain is enough to really warrant this extreme of a reaction. And also, the price movement came hours after this story broke, so there's no direct correlation on an hourly basis. More so, we've been in a pretty clear downtrend for about 2 months now, and to most, it is evidently clear that the extended move of the Bitcoin price is what we like to call a short squeeze. No, not that type of short squeeze. Here's what a short squeeze is in 2 minutes or less. Remember that movie The Big Short? The one where a tiny handful of Wall Street traders saw the housing bubble before it popped and made billions of dollars from the crashing of the real estate market and banks in 2008? Well, it works the other way around as well. When too many people are all on board to short the housing market or whatever market, they can get utterly destroyed on a price surge. The difference with a crash is that the most that you can ever really lose by owning any stock or commodity or asset is 100% when the price of whatever you own goes to zero. When you are short selling something, you're essentially borrowing a thing like a stock, a Bitcoin, or an avocado, and you're borrowing it from somebody else. You're selling it at its current value and hoping that it goes down in price. Then what you do is you buy it at a cheaper price, return what you borrowed, and collect the difference as profit. But if you borrow and sell something of somebody else's and the price goes up, eventually you might have to buy that thing back at a higher price, and then you'll return it to that person, but for a loss. The thing is, there's not a cap on how high something can go as opposed to how low something can go. Bitcoin can go up more than 10, 20, 100, even 200%, but it can only ever go down 100%. So if you put all your capital into borrowing, let's say 1 Bitcoin to short, if the price goes up 100%, not only have you lost your entire net worth and your Bitcoin or your shorting position is worth 0, but you'll actually start to go into the negative net worth territory and even owe money if the price keeps going up. So when people borrow Bitcoin or any asset to short, knowing that the most that they can make is 100% profit, they often borrow a leveraged amount. That is, borrowing more than they actually can afford. Kind of like a down payment to get a mortgage, but instead of borrowing money to buy a house, you're borrowing more Bitcoin to sell. In some cases, I might only have, let's say, $100, but I want to short $1,000 of Bitcoin. I can do that, but if the Bitcoin price goes up just around, let's say, 10%, whammo, I get liquidated, I lose everything. In the past 24 hours, $325 million worth of shorts were liquidated on BitMEX alone. Add that to a bunch of people jumping in with full-on FOMO, and you get a chart that looks a little something like this. So where's the price of Bitcoin going next? Well, I'd like to make a guess that we're probably going to be stuck between 7,400 and 10,500 for at least a week, but I'd love to be wrong. I'm just glad that volatility is back and that there's a bit of a spotlight on the crypto space again with the Libra, China, and price news. We'll see what comes of it. For now, thank you guys so much for watching. It's good to be back. If you haven't seen it, I did this great little documentary, or I think it was great, on Patrick Byrne. I'll attach that in the link below if you want to go check that out. Again, if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you thought there was a bigger story this week that you would have liked me to cover, and maybe we'll get to it next week, or any other story. Just send me a message and I'll try and put it in next week's show. If you want to support this show, don't forget to also donate BAT tokens with the Brave browser if you have it. It's a great way of supporting and financing little things on this show, like this gold Bitcoin and this avocado, which I purchased with BAT tokens from your guys' donations in the past. I'm not even joking about that. Thanks again so much for watching. Don't forget, survive the dip. There's gonna be so much more news to come. Just stay ready for it, and I'll see you in the next one.